I watched my wife step out of a sedan in the Rue Magazine coffee shop lot on Freret Street at 3:12 p.m., straighten another man's collar like it was muscle memory, and kiss him like it had a history. Then I drove home and started building the quietest exit she'd never see coming. If you've ever bartended in New Orleans, you know the city doesn't really sleep, it just changes costumes. By the time most people are brushing their teeth, I'm wiping down a rail sticky with hurricanes and spilled beer, listening to somebody's breakup play out in the corner like live theater. I can read a room in 3 seconds, who's lying, who's lonely, who's about to tip heavy to feel like a hero. At the end of a shift, I clean my tools like it's ritual: spoon, strainer, jigger, rinse, polish, place. My hands move without thinking, and it slows my brain down enough for the truth to float up. And the truth was floating up all over my marriage in the dumbest, most ordinary way: the route home. My wife, Marin, used to come home the same way every day. We had a rhythm. She worked a regular office job, 9 to 5, weekends mostly off, while I lived in the neon hours. We made it work because we wanted to. Then a new rhythm started slipping in, like a wrong note you can't unhear. First it was little delays. Traffic was insane, she'd say, dropping her purse like it was heavy with secrets. I stopped at the store. Or, I had to run an errand for work. I didn't pounce on it. Romance is believing in love. Stupidity is ignoring patterns. The phrase that kept repeating was rides. He's just giving me rides, she said one night, casual like it meant nothing. Just because my car's been acting weird and he lives near me. It's not a big deal. The way she said he, like I shouldn't even ask for a name, made my skin tighten. Who's he? I asked. Dylan, she said. From work. You've heard me mention him. Maybe she had, maybe she hadn't, the name didn't attach to a face. He's just helping out, she added, like those words were supposed to seal the deal. I watched her while she talked, listening for the moment the story starts working too hard. Marin didn't stumble. She didn't get defensive. That almost made it worse. She smiled, soft, easy, and kissed my cheek like you do to a dog you're trying to calm down. Babe, she said, don't be weird. New Orleans is full of pretty lies dressed up in music and excuses. Don't be weird is one of the prettiest. Over the next couple weeks, the store stops became consistent. Her phone started living face down. She laughed too bright at texts she wouldn't share. She showered the second she got home, not always, but enough that I noticed. Some nights, she'd crawl into bed beside me and her mind would still be somewhere else, warm and familiar, but absent. I started writing lyrics on bar napkins again, not because I was inspired, because I needed to put the feeling somewhere. There's a highway between us / and you keep taking exits / I can't follow. I told myself I was paranoid. I told myself my hours made me suspicious by default. But then came that afternoon, my accidental matinee. It was a Thursday. I remember because Thursdays at the bar are a weird in-between, tourists wandering, locals warming up for the weekend. I'd gotten off late, slept a few hours, then woke up with that restless energy that hits when your body doesn't know what time it is. Marin texted, stopping at the store after work. Need anything? I stared at it too long, then typed back, nah. Drive safe. Then I did something I hadn't done in months, I got in my car and went out during daylight. I told myself I was going to a music shop off Magazine to look at a used pedal someone mentioned. I almost believed it. But my hands turned the wheel like they had their own opinion. I cut down a different road, a lazy curve that shouldn't have mattered, and that's the thing about betrayal, sometimes it's not a grand detective moment. Sometimes it's a wrong turn and the universe deciding you've had enough. At 3:12 p.m. I saw her car. Marin's pale blue Civic is unmistakable, dent near the back bumper from when she clipped a post at our old apartment. She hates that dent. It was parked in the lot of Rue Mag, big windows, people on laptops pretending they don't need love. The kind of place you stop, just for a second. I slowed down without meaning to. My heart did that ugly drop. My first instinct was innocent: I'll walk in. I'll say hi. I'll surprise her. Maybe she'll laugh and I'll feel stupid and we'll get coffee like normal people. I pulled into the lot, parked 2 rows over, angled so I could see her driver's side. I could already picture her surprised smile, her hand in mine, some harmless story we'd tell later. Then the passenger door of the car next to hers opened. The thing about finding out in the daylight is it ruins the illusion that night hides everything. That evening, I went into work like my bones were packed with salt. The bar was its usual animal: music thumping, tourists leaning over the rail, locals already halfway gone in the eyes. I cleaned my tools slow: spoon, strainer, jigger, rinse, polish, place, like if I kept my hands busy, my head wouldn't start screaming. But it did anyway, right under the bass line. Marin came home while I was at work. I knew because she sent a picture of the dog sprawled on the couch. "He missed you. We're watching a movie." It was such a normal text it almost made me laugh. I didn't answer. I watched the video again in the walk-in cooler between orders, thumb hovering like I could scrub my memory clean. Her hand on his collar. The kiss. The way it fit. At 2:30 in the morning, I closed up and drove home through streets that smelled like damp brick and spilled liquor. The quarter was still loud, people partying like tomorrow was a rumor. At home, everything was quiet in that soft domestic way that used to feel like safety. Marin was asleep on the couch, movie credits glowing blue against her face, curled up with a throw blanket like she belonged to peace. I stood there a long time just watching her breathe, realizing I didn't know what she was capable of. I went to bed without waking her. The next few days, I didn't explode. I didn't cry. I did something colder: I started paying attention like it was my job. Because when someone's lying, you don't chase the lie, you watch what they do when they think they're safe. Marin's store stops didn't stop. Dylan's name floated in our kitchen like a ghost she wanted me to ignore. And she kept trying to manage me with tone and touch, rubbing my shoulder as she passed, kissing my cheek longer than usual, asking about my music like she was suddenly invested again. "You should play that open mic on Frenchman," she said one afternoon. "You've been sitting on those songs." I looked up from my coffee. "Since when do you care about my set list?" Her smile tightened. "I always care." That was the first crack. Tiny, but there. That night, my one night off, rare as a polite drunk, I decided to give her the chance people always swear they want. Not forgiveness. Not closure. Just a door. Marin was in the bedroom folding laundry like she was auditioning for normal life. The lamp threw warm light over her hands, over our bed, over the framed photo of us at Jazz Fest, sweaty and sunburned and happy. She glanced up. "Hey, babe. You okay? You've been quiet. Quiet." Like my whole world hadn't just been turned inside out. I walked in, sat on the edge of the bed, and watched her fold one of my shirts with too much care. "I saw you," I said. Her hands froze mid-fold. "Saw me where?" "At Rue Mag," I said, keeping my voice even. "On Freret." She blinked like she didn't understand English, then laughed small and confused. "What? When?" "Thursday," I said. "After your store stop." Her face did something quick, like a curtain twitching, then she recovered fast. "Oh my God," she exhaled. "You drove by there and didn't come in?" "I was literally just grabbing a coffee." "With Dylan," I said. She set the shirt down too neatly, like order could hold her together. "Yeah. Dylan was there. It's a coffee shop, not a motel." I stared at her. "That's your answer? What do you want me to say?" Her voice rose just a notch, strategic. "He gives me rides sometimes because my car is acting up. We're co-workers. We're friends." "Friends." I let the word hang. Marin, I said softly, you've been changing your route home. You've been stopping at the store 3 times a week. You keep your phone face down. You shower the second you walk in. And you want me to believe you're just friends with some guy who's always around. Her eyes flashed. So now I'm on trial. I'm asking you to tell me the truth, I said. She crossed her arms like armor. This is insane. You're acting like some paranoid. Don't, I cut in, not loud, just firm. Don't do that thing where you make me the villain for noticing reality. That hit her. She paused, mouth opening then closing, eyes sliding toward the closet like answers lived between the dresses. Then she tried softer, wounded. You've been gone all the time, she said, voice dipping into hurt that sounded rehearsed. You're always working. Always at the bar. I've been lonely, okay? Lonely, like loneliness accidentally straightens a man's collar and kisses him in a parking lot. I swallowed the bitter laugh. So you're lonely. I'm saying we've been disconnected, she said, stepping closer, reaching for my hand. And Dylan's just present. He asks how my day is. He listens. I pulled my hand back, slow. You want to hear yourself right now? Her eyes watered instantly. I'm trying to be honest. No, I said. You're trying to justify. The tears dried up like a switch flipped. Maybe if you were home more, she snapped, you wouldn't be imagining things. Maybe if you treated me like I mattered. I do treat you like you matter, I said, and my voice finally cracked, not into rage, into tired. I built my whole life around making room for you inside chaos. I come home at 4 a.m. and still bring you beignets when you're craving them. I write songs about you on napkins like I'm some kind of idiot in love. She flinched. Good. She whispered, nothing happened. I held her gaze. Nothing. Nothing, she repeated, stronger. We're not, it's not like that. I swear. She looked me right in the eyes and lied like it didn't cost her anything. I nodded slowly, like I accepted it. Okay, I said. Her eyebrows lifted. Okay. Okay, I repeated, standing up, smoothing my shirt like I was leaving a job interview. If that's what you're saying, that's what you're saying. Relief rushed into her face. She stepped in, touching my chest like she could cover a wound. Thank you, she murmured. Thank you for trusting me. I love you. I looked down at her hand and thought about her fixing Dylan's collar with those same fingers. I love you too, I said, because the words were muscle memory and grief is complicated like that. I kissed her forehead, gentle, familiar, and walked out before my calm could shatter. In the kitchen, I poured a glass of water and stared at the dark window over the sink. My reflection looked like me, but older. Behind me, Marin called out, sweet again, you want me to make us some tea? No, I said. I'm good. Because I wasn't confronting her to get answers, I was confronting her to confirm the shape of her lie. And now I knew. She wasn't going to confess. Not with the door open. Not with consequences still hypothetical. She was going to keep steering, keep rewriting, keep treating me like a problem to manage. So I went back to my rituals, the ones that keep my hands steady. I opened my notes app and started a list. Not feelings. Not questions. Steps. And at the very bottom, I typed one line that felt like a lyric and a warning, let her think she's in control. Because the next time I said, I saw you, it wouldn't be a conversation. It would be an ending. Revenge is a funny word. People picture broken glass and screaming and somebody throwing somebody's clothes off a balcony in the rain. That's not me. I work in a place where drama is currency, where every night some guy is pounding the bar like it owes him closure. I didn't want applause. I wanted precision. So I moved like I was building a set list, one track at a time, no dead air, no mistakes. First thing I did was stop acting like a husband and start acting like a witness. I made a folder on my phone, boring name, something like insurance, and I backed up the video. Then I backed it up again. Cloud. Email to myself. A thumb drive I hid in my guitar case like it was a spare pick. Dates. Times. Locations. Every store stop. Every weird gap. I wrote it down in short, sharp lines, except this wasn't art. This was documentation. In the afternoons, while Marin was at work, I walked through our place with my camera and filmed everything we owned like I was making a tour for strangers: the TV, the couch, the record player, the kitchen appliances, the jewelry box she never wore unless she was stopping somewhere. I opened drawers. I showed serial numbers. I narrated softly so the audio caught the date. It felt cold, like I was turning my home into evidence. But that's what betrayal does. The next step was Dylan. I didn't know him, not really, but the name was enough to pull a thread. I found him in 10 minutes, smiling headshot on LinkedIn, work hard, play hard, on Instagram, Saints gear at a watch party, him holding a beer and a baby that wasn't his like he wanted to look safe. And right there in the tags was his girlfriend. Tessa. Long hair. Big smile. The kind of eyes that look like they believe what you tell them. Pictures of them at a crawfish boil, cheeks pressed together like they'd earned it. A holiday photo in matching pajamas. A post from her, proud of you always. My stomach turned, not jealousy, recognition. It was the look I used to have. I didn't message her right away. I didn't want it to be a DM he could spin into some crazy guy. I found her number through a mutual, one of those tiny New Orleans things where everybody knows somebody who knows somebody. I sent one text: "Hey. My name's Eli. I'm sorry to do this over text. I need to talk to you about Dylan. It's important. You can choose the time and the place. Public is fine." She didn't answer for 2 hours. Then, "Is he hurt?" That killed me a little. Her first thought was concern, like important means accident, not betrayal. I wrote back, "No. But I think he's been lying to you. I have proof. I'm not trying to start drama. I'm trying to be honest." She replied, "Where can we meet?" We met at City Park outside Café du Monde because it's public and life keeps moving around you no matter what. Early evening, oak trees looking holy, air thick with somebody else's happiness. She showed up in a denim jacket and a tight ponytail like she was trying to hold herself together with elastic. "I'm Tessa," she said. "I'm Eli," I said. "I'm Marin's husband." Her face went blank for a beat. I don't understand," she whispered. I took my phone out, slow. "I'm going to show you something. You can tell me to stop at any time." She nodded, tight. I played the video, 3:12 p.m. Rue Mag, the collar straightening, the kiss that said this wasn't the first time. Tessa's hand flew to her mouth. She made this small, broken sound like the air got stolen out of her. When it ended, she stared at my phone like it was an open wound. She started, swallowing. "He said Marin was just a coworker." I nodded. Marin said the same thing. Tessa sat down hard on the bench, eyes wet now, expression sharpening. "How long?" she asked. "I don't know," I said. "But it looked comfortable." She gave a laugh that wasn't humor. "Comfortable. Like they've been doing it long enough to forget it's wrong." She wiped her face fast, angry at her own tears, then looked at me like she was making a decision. "Okay," she said. "What do you need?" That startled me. "What?" She leaned forward. "If you're showing me this, you're not doing it for fun. So what do you need?" I stared at her, realizing her mask had dropped and there was steel underneath. "I need proof," I said. "More than this. Enough that they can't gaslight their way out. Enough that when I move, there's no room for stories. Tessa nodded. Then we do it right. I have his phone passcode. I pay our phone bill. And he's sloppy. He thinks I'm safe. That word, safe, hit me like a punch. We didn't do spy movie nonsense. She opened her own account, her name on the bill, her login, and pulled call logs and message timestamps. She scrolled through his texts with hands that barely shook, screenshotting, emailing them to herself. Marin was saved under a fake name. There were inside jokes, can't wait to see you, plans, meetups, lunch breaks that weren't lunch. One message from Dylan read, "Your husband suspect anything?" Marin's reply, "He's been weird but he won't do anything. He never does." I felt that like a slap. Tessa saw my face change and said softly, "I'm sorry." I shook my head. "Don't be." I needed to see it. Because now the betrayal had a voice. Now it had arrogance. The next morning, I called a lawyer, real one, office in the CBD, receptionist who sounded like she'd seen every version of heartbreak in a suit. I sat across from Mr. Landry, silver hair, calm eyes, and slid my phone across the desk. He watched the video once, then looked at me over his glasses. "You want a divorce?" I nodded. "I want out without a war." He leaned back, fingers steepled. "Then you do exactly what you've started doing. Document. Inventory. Separate what can be separated. Don't move money in ways that look like hiding. Don't give her a heads up." My life reduced to bullet points. Over the next week, I moved like a ghost through my own marriage. I redirected my paycheck to a new account in my name. I froze my credit. I changed my passwords. I gathered my important documents, birth certificate, passport, the folder of music copyrights I'd been too broke and proud to organize before. I rented a small storage unit in mid-city and started moving things that were mine in a way that wouldn't scream I'm leaving, my guitar pedals, my notebooks, old family stuff. Tessa and I kept exchanging proof like we were building a case file instead of healing, screenshots, dates, their pattern of lies. And quietly, without me asking, Tessa started doing her own damage. She told Dylan's sister, told his mom. No online posts, no public scenes, she just let the truth walk into the rooms Dylan cared about and sit down like it belonged there. One afternoon, she texted me, his mom called me crying. She said she's so disappointed. I stared at my phone and felt no triumph, just balance returning to a world that had tilted. A few nights later, Marin stood in the kitchen in one of my old t-shirts, scrolling her phone, and asked, "Do you want to do something this weekend? Maybe brunch? Light. Casual." Like she hadn't been kissing another man in parking lots. I looked at her, at the mask she wore so comfortably, and realized she still thought she was steering. I smiled, small and neutral. "Yeah," I said. "We'll see." Because the papers were being drafted. Because the finances were being locked. Because the next conversation we had wouldn't be about coffee shops or loneliness. It would be reality, served, stamped, and already decided. And she had no idea the floor was about to drop out from under the story she'd been telling herself. Shock doesn't hit you like thunder. Real shock is quiet, me standing in my own kitchen at 4:18 a.m., staring at the sink while the faucet runs, because my brain forgot what I came in there to do. The first week after Rue Mag, I moved like I'd been hollowed out and filled back up with instructions: work, document, smile, don't warn, don't give her time to rewrite. It was easier to do the steps than feel the feelings. At the bar, I poured drinks like always, but each laugh felt too sharp, each clink of ice too loud. People noticed. "You good, Eli?" my manager asked one night when I wiped the same spot 3 times. "Yeah," I said. "Just tired." And it was true, tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. The anger came in waves, not screaming anger, the kind that makes you want to punch the wall when you see your wife's mug in the dish rack, the kind that replays old moments and poisons them with new meaning. I'd be slicing limes and my hands would go numb, mid-order, my chest would tighten because my brain flashed her fixing Dylan's collar. There's a humiliation that doesn't look like embarrassment, it looks like realizing someone made you a character in their story without your consent. Marin's version of me was the husband who wouldn't do anything, the one she could manage while she lived a second life in the daylight. That thought lit a cold rage in me that scared me more than sadness did, so I kept it sheathed. At home, Marin floated through normal life, talking office nonsense, complaining about traffic, kissing me quick and routine, and I'd feel my stomach flip like I'd swallowed something rotten. Sometimes my brain tried to find the old her, the one I married, and I'd feel love and hate braided so tight I couldn't separate them. One night she fell asleep on my chest on the couch, breathing slow, cheek warm, and I stared at the ceiling thinking, how can you sleep like this? That's when sadness finally showed up, heavy and quiet. I grieved the future I used to picture without trying, the rituals, the safety, and I grieved myself, the version of me that believed love, if you treated it right, would stay. One morning around 5, I couldn't sleep, so I cleaned my tools even though they were already clean, spoon, strainer, jigger, rinse, polish, place. I found a napkin and wrote, you can love someone / and still leave them / because love isn't a leash. It didn't feel like poetry. It felt like permission. Somewhere in the middle of all this, I noticed the way Marin watched me, not like a wife watches a husband, like someone checking whether the floor is still solid. Too many "you okay?" questions. Too many brunch offers. Touching my arm in front of other people like she was performing stability. And I realized she didn't feel guilty because she hurt me, she felt anxious because she might get caught. Once I saw that, the sadness shifted into resolve. I started doing small things for myself, walks in the afternoon light, slow chords on the porch until my breathing matched the rhythm, standing by the river watching the water move like it had somewhere to be. I'd spent too long bailing water from a boat while someone else drilled holes. You can't save something alone. I started saying no to extra shifts. I booked a small gig on Frenchmen, low lights, people who didn't care who you were as long as you sounded real. That night I played a new song, voice doing that rough thing it does when I'm trying not to break, and the room got quiet in that respectful way New Orleans crowds sometimes do. Afterward, someone said, that one felt like heartbreak. I nodded. Yeah. Outside, leaning against brick, smelling cigarettes and rain, I felt acceptance creep in, not, it's okay, just, this is real and I don't have to argue with reality. The plan stopped feeling like revenge and started feeling like rescue. I wasn't doing this to punish her. I was doing it to save myself from becoming the kind of man who begs someone to choose him while she's already chosen someone else. The night before my next meeting with Mr. Landry, Marin asked, soft and sweet, do you still love me? I looked at her, both versions in the same face, and said the only honest thing I had left, I don't know. Her eyes widened like she'd never considered I might not be endless. She reached for me. Eli, I stepped back, not dramatic, just enough. I'm tired, I said. I'm going to bed. In the dark, I remembered the message Tessa showed me, he won't do anything. He never does, and felt my spine straighten. Because I had turned heartbreak into steps, and soon I was going to do the one thing she never believed I would, end it, clean, quiet, and final, without giving her a stage to spin her story on. The day I signed the papers, New Orleans was cold enough to make you aware of your bones, warm enough that people still pretend winter isn't real. The sky was pale and bright like it had nothing to hide. I walked into Mr. Landry's office with a manila folder and a calm that felt borrowed. He flipped through everything, inventory, account statements, screenshots, video stills with the timestamp, pen tapping the desk like a metronome. You understand what this means, he said. I understand, I told him. You're doing the right thing the right way, he said. I didn't feel proud. I felt empty in a clean way, like I'd finally cleared a room that had been suffocating me. I signed, initialed, wrote my name over and over like I was writing myself out of a life. "She'll be served," he said. "Legally, you're protected. Don't provoke. Don't negotiate in your kitchen. If she wants to talk terms, she can talk through counsel." I drove home slow, not savoring anything, just adjusting to what I'd done. Marin was at work. The house was quiet like a set after the actors leave. I packed the last of my things like I was loading out after a gig, efficient, careful, no wasted movement, guitar, pedals, notebooks, the napkins I'd written on, a couple shirts, my granddad's watch. I left the furniture, the wedding album, the stuff that belonged to a version of us that didn't exist anymore. By 4, the storage unit was full and my car was lighter. I had a key to a little shotgun-style apartment off Esplanade, nothing fancy, but enough room to breathe. That evening, I set the kitchen table like we were having a normal dinner, 2 plates, 2 glasses, the illusion one last time. Marin came home around 6:30, cheeks pink from the chill, talking as soon as the door closed. "You would not believe the day I had," she said, dropping her bag. "Dylan," she stopped, catching herself. I didn't look up. "Yeah." She cleared her throat. "Just, work stuff." I turned off the burner, wiped my hands. "Sit," I said, quiet, but final. Her eyes narrowed. "Why are you acting weird?" There it was again. I pulled out the chair and sat across from her. Between us, I placed an envelope, thick, clean, official. She stared at it. "What is that?" "A decision," I said. She laughed once, nervous. "Eli, what are you?" "Before you say anything," I cut in, calm as a closed door, "you should know you were served today at your office." Her face drained. "Served with what?" "Divorce papers." The word sat there like something heavy that didn't need motion. "This is insane," she whispered. "You can't just." "I can," I said. And I did. She shoved the envelope away. "Why would you do this without talking to me?" I leaned back. "We did talk." "No, we didn't." "We did," I said. "When I told you I saw you at Rue Mag. When I asked you for the truth and you lied." Her pupils flickered, fear, calculation, anger, cycling fast. "I didn't." I pulled my phone out and set it face up on the table. I didn't even press play yet. Marin's eyes locked on it like it was a weapon. "You followed me," she snapped, fury rushing in to cover panic. "You recorded me. What is wrong with you?" "What was wrong with me," I said softly, "was thinking you'd stop if I trusted you." She stood up so fast the chair scraped. "This is controlling." "Sit down," I said, still quiet. Something in my tone landed. For the first time in weeks, she looked at me like she didn't recognize me. Slowly, she sat. Her voice shifted into wounded softness. "Eli, baby, please. Whatever you think you saw," I tapped my screen once. The video filled the space with silent daylight, Freret Street, the parking lot, Dylan stepping out, Marin fixing his collar, that kiss like it wasn't new. Her face twisted, not just shock, horror at realizing her story wasn't the story anymore. "It was a mistake," she breathed. "It didn't mean anything." I stared at her. "You kissed him like it meant everything." Tears sprang to her eyes. "I was lonely," she said. "You're never home." "I'm not doing this," I said. "We're not rehearsing your excuses again." She grabbed the envelope, flipping through pages like she could find a hidden door out. "You already," she looked up, eyes wide. "You already moved money." "I opened an account for my paycheck," I said. "I froze my credit. I documented the house. Everything legal. Nothing hidden. Just prepared." She stared. "Prepared? Like I'm some enemy?" I let it sit. "You made yourself my enemy," I said. The second you decided I was something you could manage while you lived a second life. Anger flashed, because control was slipping. This is because of him, she said. You're doing this because of Dylan. No, I said. I'm doing this because of you. She grabbed her phone with frantic hands and started typing. I knew who she was texting. I didn't stop her. She put it on speaker without thinking. It rang. Voicemail. She tried again. A text popped up, bright and cruel, can't talk. Busy. Her face collapsed. I watched her stare at the screen and felt no joy, just confirmation. He's not answering, she said small. I nodded once. Yeah. What am I supposed to do, she whispered. You're supposed to deal with the consequences, I said. She begged, counseling, quitting her job, anything, but I stood up, the chair legs soft on the floor like punctuation. I already decided, I said. That's the point. She followed me barefoot across the tile like she could chase me back into being her husband. Eli, talk to me. I am talking, I said. I'm just not negotiating. At the door she grabbed my arm. Warm, familiar fingers, my body remembering love before my mind could stop it. I gently peeled her hand off. I hope one day you understand what you did, I said. But I'm not staying long enough to teach you. Her voice broke. So you're just done. I opened the door. Cold air rushed in, smelling like wet street and distant frying food. I'm done, I said, and added the line I needed to keep, I'm not going to be the man you cheat on and then comfort. She sobbed. I stepped out anyway. I didn't slam the door. I closed it behind me like you close a bar at the end of a shift, lights off, cash counted, no more service. The street was quiet. Somewhere down the block, somebody laughed. I drove to my new place. The apartment smelled like fresh paint and old wood. I set my guitar case down and listened to the silence that belonged to me. Marin called 9 times, texted paragraphs swinging from rage to grief to bargaining. I didn't answer, not to hurt her, because the decision was already made. A week later I played Frenchman again, and when I sang, my voice didn't shake the same way. It still hurt. But it wasn't humiliation. It was honest. And if there's advice in all this, it's this: don't confuse love with tolerance. Don't confuse patience with permission. When the mask slips and you see the truth, believe it. Then move like a man who respects his own life. Quietly. Cleanly. All the way forward.